All right, folks, we are back after a little bit of a break time, intermission. I kind of missed these. It was kind of a different, I was almost expecting an episode for the weekend. And I'm like, oh, wait, we didn't even record one. Yeah. I'm like, I want to listen to one, you know?
It's been some crazy times.
Yeah, for sure. Serge, what's going on?
Hey, the big news. The baby's here. Little Rain Alba Katrovsky is alive and well. Deja's recovering pretty well. We were, out of 7 days, she was born 7 days ago. So out of those 7 days, 5 days have been in the hospital, which has been kind of, I don't know, stressful, chaotic, all over the place because it was an unplanned C-section. Not supposed to be in the hospital, supposed to be in a birth center. So to those of you who have like kids and who've had this happen, you know how much stuff is going on and it's kind of hard to control, but all is good now. I'm super pumped. Like, I think we were talking about this one time when I was visiting, just a couple days ago, but just that idea of like, man, holding your child, it's strange. It's like transformational. I don't want to get all like, it's not a dad podcast or a fatherhood podcast, but yeah, it's messing with my mind. I'm trying to process all of it. It's wild.
Yeah. I think the first thing when I walked into your place, I was like, dude, you guys like made a human.
Like, we added to the population.
It's bonkers if you
wild.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But anyways, let's pour some batchy.
Yep.
Let's get right into this. I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Whoa, journey pour.
Oh, man. The sniffy sniff.
Man, I don't know if that's my beard stuff or what. It's like perfumey.
So do you always get perfume off of every batch?
Do I?
Off of every cup, there's got to be something perfumey on the table.
I don't know. This isn't the most recent roast, right?
No. It's actually pretty aged.
It's aged, yeah. I can
and
tell.
it's nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
You can tell, and it's very nice. This is our Peruvian coffee. The plum is coming through.
Yeah, it's pretty candied. That candied sweetness. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the acidity there is nice. It's actually it's a pretty solid brew actually, for a batch. It's a pretty solid brew. I think I like it. Like, it's got this nice softness to it. Maybe because that's aged.
Yeah.
The texture is really nice.
Yeah.
As opposed to the same coffee at batch at Makeworth.
Yeah.
Has a different kind of texture, and I don't know if that's a brewer thing or that's because this is. I feel like this is like a much older roast.
How many weeks off for roast is this?
I don't know. I'd probably say 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't actually know for sure, but
yeah, Makeworth usually serves things off 1 week off a roast. So
it's not
could
bad,
be that.
yeah.
It's not bad. It's like kind of stereotypical for drip.
Yeah.
But then also the brewer. I mean, you're talking about a Curtis with a Scott Rayo UFO spray head versus that, which I think this Breville is killing it on the brews, and I like the texture on this. That velvety texture that we got in the cupping that we put on reminds us of.
Yeah.
It comes through. It's like soft.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the mouthfeel's for sure there. It's so nice.
I would say, that grape acidity, the grapefruit, acidity that we were tasting and cupping.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a little sweeter. It kind of tastes more like a lime.
Yeah. It's great. I'm down.
Great.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
That being said, what are we talking about today?
Ooh.
All right, little Topo Chico break.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for a case of those.
Oh yeah,
boys, tasty.
Those things are huge. I was like, I don't know what he's gonna do with this.
That's a good sipper.
Yeah.
Palate cleanser after everything.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about accessibility.
Yep.
In a couple different form factors. I don't know, because I'm even trying to process this as well. We were just talking about it. I still don't know, so this is gonna be like a testing, figuring it out as we go. But Give us a couple thoughts as to your, I don't know, your, I don't want to say, well, your approach to accessibility or what you think
Yeah.
as it, of course, relates to coffee.
Coffee. Yeah. I think it's recently caught my eye. Let's say in the last 2 or 3 months, a lot of people have been very outspoken about creating more access for specialty coffee for everyone, because it's very like contrary to this idea that specialty coffee is like elitist or only for people who make enough money to buy a $16 pour over, or only people who have like Akaya scales. So and that's where the pretentiousness comes from. Mm-hmm. So accessibility stands against that. And also it's a very big factor into sustainability. Mm-hmm. So when people have more access to specialty coffee, we can actually sell more specialty coffee. Therefore, the farmers can sell more green and grow more specialty coffee in general. So it plays a little bit in that supply and demand on the big picture. On the small, like the intimate, personal view of it, I would say like accessibility helps everybody experience that quality goodness of what we call specialty coffee because of the Q grade. You know what I mean? When you have this high quality green. And now we can train, teach, educate people to basically brew a pour over at home without having to spend hundreds of dollars on gear. You know, a lot of the stuff, like I was in a clubhouse room the other day that was talking about, brewing a V60 without a gooseneck kettle. And you can still get a decent extraction. It may not be perfect, but it'll be a decent enough extraction where you can enjoy a 85 point coffee and get those nuances, those flavor notes, so it gives you that option. It doesn't eliminate, or it doesn't tell you you can't drink dark roast or you can't drink that, but you can now drink this coffee and experience it. So kind of a rant. Sorry, I kind of took over. I love this topic.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, like I'm still trying to figure out what this. Still processing a lot of this, so it's good. But I like that you approached accessibility in the sense of you're not eliminating one thing over the other.
Yep.
So you're not ruling out, like you shouldn't be drinking this coffee and making specialty more accessible than, something else, or saying, hey, it's all about accessibility. So we need to throw away the really good stuff, stuff that takes time to produce, work, resources, that's going to be, in a sense, more expensive. It's not about tossing them in. It's a lot more inclusive than that.
Yep.
And that's kind of the approach. So I respect that a lot. You mentioned Clubhouse. I kind of want to get in there a little bit because I think that has a lot to do with kind of accessibility from the other side. Like accessibility as in, it's something that everybody can access. Like there's a lot of it. Like you were saying, well, actually even pre-podcast, we were talking about it, how specialty coffee is growing so much that now nearly every city and even small towns will have a specialty coffee roasting company where you can get some really great coffees to enjoy at home. And then on the other side of the spectrum is like education, is like the mental resources and the knowledge of how to be able to get a tasty cup of coffee, or get the most out of your coffee, even if that means using like a batch brewer. Like we're not even talking about pour overs, espresso machines, nothing. Just how do you get the most out of your French press, your $10 French press? How do you get the most out of your Mr. Coffee batch brewer, and stuff like that. And so I think it's been cool because recently I've been on Clubhouse as well, just getting into these coffee chats. And I'm in this coffee chat with some guy from Israel, a couple people from Russia, Eastern Europe, like people from like Egypt. And it's pretty wild that like you can have a conversation about coffee, about brewing with people literally all over the world, and everybody sharing their insights, their finds, or even like we've been joining Facebook groups, which have been fun.
That's been
and it's like fun. People posting their experiences, their gear, sharing, and all that stuff. It's become just so much to learn.
Yeah, there's a sense of like growth in just the cliche, like the community aspect of it, but also because there's more people talking about specialty coffee, more people are sharing their experiences. So if you're struggling to, extract coffee at a certain time, and you're like, man, what am I doing wrong? Is it grind size? What is it? You can have more access to like advice now. I mean, one of those is like Lance Hedrick, like from Onyx, like he has a YouTube channel. Like you can now learn how to whatever steam milk or do a pour over or tips and tricks from like insanely talented people, like world barista champions, world brewer champions. Like there's so many people online now who are sharing knowledge that beforehand, the only way you had access to that knowledge was to go work at a cafe. Like if you wanted to learn from Lance, you have to go work at Onyx, you know what I mean? Same thing with like, for me, like one of the, this may be a tangent, but I love this thought when I think about it, is when I met Alex from Narrative, I knew it was Alex because I saw him on a YouTube video. You know what I mean? That opened up the door for me to meet him in person and then create this friendship. So giving more access to knowledge and information is giving us all, specialty coffee lovers, all of us, giving us more ability to process information and therefore grow and just educate ourselves, even for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember like just recently on the Facebook page, somebody posted like, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And there was more comments on that post than any post that I've seen on that group at all. And I'm like, that's awesome, because people are so eager to help, eager to, throw in their 2 cents, maybe try this, maybe try that, maybe swirl, maybe pour slower, like,
yeah.
And that's just so cool. Yeah, not to sound cliche, but it is kind of somewhat of like a community. And I was talking to somebody as well recently. One of my friends was like, hey, like, I'm, trying to go work at a coffee shop. Like their friend is starting a cafe and they want to manage it, but they've never worked in coffee. And they're like, I've asked around, I've shadowed managers in a coffee shop in Portland, and they were totally down for it.
Yeah.
Like everybody's willing to help. And I'm like, that's wonderful. And because, if everybody can help somebody else, then the community just grows.
Yes.
And if the community grows, then it helps on the farm level, on the origin level, on the consumption level. But so, like it benefits everybody. And so that's just like super exciting. And even just to think like, man, stuff like this wasn't happening 5 years ago even.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the fact that like a couple episodes back, we did a social media episode about, coffee Instagrammers and people sharing their experiences. That literally just happened in the last year.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of this stuff is upcoming, and it's awesome to see. And yeah.
Yeah, I get super excited about that because it reminds me of the way I see accessibility. Reminds me of when I used to travel. I can't imagine if there were no airplanes, because so many of my life experiences were defined by traveling. Like take away airplanes, which is access to other countries. Yeah. Take away that access, and now I don't have that growth. I don't have those defining experiences. I don't have that ability to basically have a different perspective on the world just because you took my access away, the airplanes. So you translate to coffee, like you give more access to people, to information, to knowledge, to experiences, to stories. You then actually welcome more people into this beautiful experience of specialty coffee or coffee in general. You know what I mean? It's better for you. It's better for everybody else.
Yeah. And to play off of that, what happens if there was only 10 planes and the ticket was $50,000 a seat? Yeah. That is okay, cool. Now we have planes, but it's actually it's still not accessible. So there's like this two parts of the coin is like, hey, it's the knowledge, it's being able to know about this, but then also it's also like, oh wait, it's actually becoming like affordable. Like a mind-boggling thing is like our dad drinks Nescafe Folgers or Nescafe Taster's. I don't even know. It's pretty much the same concept. Yeah, Taster's Choice. And then they just had a family friend over who drinks, the Nespresso capsules. And he was sharing about his coffee experiences, and I'm just talking to him. And I'm like, I realized like, oh wait, the capsules in the instant coffee costs nearly just as much as a coffee bag that we're selling. That's high scoring. That's like, not not to toot my own horn, but it's like decently roasted, like, but like to cost and be as accessible as like a Nespresso capsule or instant coffee is pretty mind-boggling and pretty spectacular.
Yeah. And then with whether it's shipping or delivery, like, I mean, we've been delivering coffees to Bellingham for free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pay extra to get specialty coffee at your door if you're in Bellingham. Like, we can deliver it. And then even our shipping charges, we try to minimize those as low as possible so that people can actually order. Like our box, like, dude, free shipping on 3 bags of coffee. It's excellent. Like, you know what I mean?
And I mean, that I was going to say, like, even on 1 bag, we're still losing on shipping. Like, we're taking the cost, some of that shipping cost, which is inevitable almost in today's world. Like, you have to pay somebody to go drive literally a car to, across the country to deliver this package. But it's like, we're able to take some of that cost in on ourselves just so it can become accessible to people and, enjoyable for people. But yeah, that's even more crazy that like now you can buy a bag of coffee that's gonna be freaking amazing, like from some of the best in the country. It can arrive to your door.
Yeah. As a roasting company, for us, wholesale plays a big role in sales in general. But imagine if with increased access to coffee knowledge and the home barista experience gets better and grows, imagine how much more direct to consumer and e-commerce increases. That's also better for us. That makes our business more sustainable because it helps us, like, our margins go up and we're able to buy more coffee. We're able to invest into the business more. We're able to sustain ourselves. We don't have to work like 10 jobs to make roasting coffee possible. Like, it gets so much better. I get so pumped about this concept. It's awesome.
Yeah. And like, I mean, just across the board, like, it's going to benefit everybody. And at the end of the day, it's about enjoying a good cup of coffee. It's not about like, hey, like, don't drink, the, Starbucks coffee. Like, it's quote unquote, bad coffee or whatever. It's like, okay, there might be some truth to that, but at the end of the day, that's not what we're out here trying to do. We're not trying to convert somebody to drink only Mirror coffee. That's not the point, like, it's more about like, hey, do you enjoy the coffee that you're drinking at home? If you do and you're just in love with it, sure, like, keep drinking, keep doing the thing that you've been doing for the last 15 20 years, or last 2 years that you've been drinking coffee. But it's more about also like being like, hey, there's another way of doing it. There's an alternative. Like, all the time people are like, hey, what's the best coffee? I'm like, the best coffee is the one you love. If you love your coffee, cool. Don't change a thing about it. But if you don't love your coffee can taste really insane.
Yeah. You can enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just like those moments when, I mean, I'm just thinking like when you give somebody a coffee that tastes like blueberries and they're like, they're not even coffee people, but they're like, oh my goodness, how does this taste like blueberries? I'm like, we just shipped a coffee to Alaska. It was our Ethiopian natural. The guy bought a 2-pound bag and was like, I can smell blackberries.
Yeah.
How is this possible? I'm never buying other coffee again. And I'm like, yes, that's it. The point wasn't to, say you're drinking the wrong coffee, but it was more to just give you another option.
Yeah. And it's not, like you said, it's not about bad or good. It's about giving another option. And for me, the way I see that is the imagery I get is like an airport. I don't know, maybe I just want to travel. It's all airports and airplanes.
I do.
So like, I imagine like walking through the airport and you see different gates, you know what I mean? Doorways and accesses to go. And then you see that stereotypical no access, you know what I mean? Red sign. It's taking that red no access sign, flipping around and says, walk in, you have access, you know what I mean? And then giving people the opportunity to explore that side of the area, and it's not that you have to go that way. It's that there's an opportunity for you to go explore this part of your experience. It's not, I think that's a very important point that you bring out. We're not saying that gosh, you're drinking bad coffee, you need to drink better coffee. And let me tell you how to do it. It's giving you another option. It's empowering you. It's giving you the freedom to choose. If you never knew about this choice and you thought this was the only option, we're saying, hey, what do you think about this? That's up to you.
Yeah, totally. 100%. And actually, that's like on the bigger scale, but in the infinite, in a very like narrow specific scale, I'm thinking what goes to my mind is like naturals. Like I used to be head over heels over them, and I still like them. Like I love our Sadama. Like we just cupped it like 2 hours ago, and I was like, dang, this is pretty tasty. But I was much more of a fanatic 4 years ago. Now I'm not as head over heels about them. I'll enjoy them, and that concept is the same for people within the coffee industry. That I'm glad, which right now it's I didn't want to go there, but I'm more like 70% of the coffee roasting companies menu are now naturals.
Yeah.
Like I'm not mad at that, but I love that there's a 30% that says, hey, there's another way.
Yeah.
Like there's another kind of coffee, a processing method, a different texture, like I wouldn't want all the coffees in the world to be Ethiopian, and it's just that access, and it would suck to only have that.
Be narrowed in. Yeah. I mean, that's basically the difference between group thinking and free thinking. You know what I mean? Are you going to think like everybody else in your echo chamber, like everybody loves a natural, therefore I have to love a natural? Or are you going to be like, yeah, naturals are great, but I love this washed Peru.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's awesome. Like, and this is what I like about it. Like you can do that. Like, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's what this whole accessibility conversation is about, is like, how can we open up opportunities and doors for people to go down and explore, because the world of coffee is very young, but it's growing rapidly, and there's so much opportunity all the time, and we're constantly discovering new things, and it's just exciting, and I'm glad that it's growing and it's going there. So any final words?
Man, I'm just excited to see what is going to come out of this year. This year looks very promising. I like the first few months that just the coffee industry, what's been happening, and people are just trying to move forward and create like other opportunities and avenues for folks to enjoy coffee. So I don't know. I love this conversation. I'm glad we had it. And I'm glad to see that it's happening, not only with us, but other folks out there.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, I'm super pumped about it, and there's so much more that I could say about that. But I think we're gonna wrap it up here. So thank you so much, you guys, for watching, listening, however way you consume this content. We're so glad that we could be back. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.